My name is V. I'm the general partner of Dubenchers. We are an early stage venture fund that focus on investing in technology companies in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. So our fund size is now $50 million. So we typically invest in the company from a very early stage, mostly seed to pre-A stage, and we can do follow-on checks up to B round. At this moment, we are sector agnostic, but I think we kind of have more focus on certain sectors like e-commerce, fintech, SaaS, and education for the moment. I think the biggest advantages of Vietnam is our young demographics and growing middle class population. So that's why I think there are certain sectors that would do well in the middle and long term. So I think the first sector that we really bet on is education, because parents spend a lot of money for education, especially, there's many Vietnamese students also studying abroad. We have more and more affluent parents in the country. So definitely education is a sector that we focus on. And after education, I think a lot of students now, they want to look for a good job. And for the young generation, it's not just about the money, right? It's more on the environment of a company, the culture and everything. So I think we are now looking at more HR solutions, the future of work. We haven't made an investment yet, but that is the area where we want to make more investment. And I think another rising category is actually e-commerce, right? Because in Vietnam, I think e-commerce penetration is still quite low compared to developed countries. So in Vietnam in 2021, the e-commerce penetration over total retail was 7%. I think in Korea it must be over 30%. So I think there's still a lot of room for growth for the e-commerce in Vietnam. And we see the rise of newer business model in e-commerce. So besides the general marketplace, so we have a similar platform like Coupang in Vietnam. It's called Tiki. It's a local company. And we also have some of the regional players coming in like Shopee or Lazada in Southeast Asia. But we see rising players in the social commerce, for example. So leveraging the network of friends and acquaintances to really sell items. We see the rise of live streaming commerce. So people can sell items via live streaming. So those are some of the new frontier in e-commerce. And obviously fintech, right? Because I think the young generation now, they use banking services or some of these financial products very creatively. So fintech is definitely on the rise in Vietnam. I think the last one would be SaaS. So increasingly, SME in Vietnam want to adopt tech for managing their work. It can range from work management to some of the RPA solutions, like automation of invoices, automation of expense management. So compared with other nations, I think Vietnam startup ecosystem is still quite new and nascent. So just give you some numbers to put things in perspective. I think the total investment into the Vietnam tech space before 2018 was very, very low. Normally it's like 50 to 100 million a year. But 2018, for the first time, we actually saw an inflection point in the startup ecosystem. So the total investment of the tech space in Vietnam in 2018 was close to 450 million. And for the first time, we actually saw later stage round companies raising like 50 million or more for the first time. And 2019, the number actually doubled. So it went from 450 million in 2018 to close to 900 million in 2019. But because of COVID for 2020, the number actually was slashed in half. But in 2021, right, for the first time, the number rebounds very strong. And we have a record year of about 1.4 billion in total investment into the tech space in Vietnam. So that is some of the information I want to share with you about the dynamic of the tech space. But compared with other nations like Singapore or Indonesia, right, I think Vietnam now ranks third. It's still behind Singapore and Indonesia in terms of capital invested into the country. Singapore is always the hub of South Asia, whereas for Indonesian market, it's a more established market than Vietnam in terms of technology. And at the same time, right, Indonesian market have 280 million consumers, whereas Vietnam, we have close to 100 million consumers. So our market is actually a bit smaller in size compared to Indonesia. Yeah. But I can say that, compared with the rest of South Asia, right, Vietnam is now one of the fastest growing countries. I think now we have 4 unicorns in Vietnam. So I think the earliest unicorn is a company called VNG. They were in gaming before, but now they do everything, right? So they have the largest messaging app in Vietnam called Zalo. They have the payments arm, it's called Zalo Pay. And they also the investor of many e-commerce platforms in Vietnam. And the second unicorn is a company called VN Life. It's a payment company, and they also have a network of companies in the ecosystem doing e-commerce, travel to merchant solution as well. The third one is Momo. It's a fintech company. So first use case is a payment use case, and now they're doing everything, right? They're doing also lending, investment app, etc. And the latest one, actually, it's a global phenomenon. It's called Sky Marvis. So they are the owner of the Axie Infinity game. So I think most of the consumer would know them by the name Axie Infinity. So one of our largest backers is now Naver. I think Naver is one of the most well-known corporates in Korea. And we also work with a number of LPs from Korea, including corporates like Ua Brothers. So we build a good relationship with our LPs and our partners from Korea. So for Ringo, I think it's I think we like education very much, and I think Vietnam, is a country where parents spend a lot of money for the kids' education, like I explained before, right? So I had a chance to meet the Ringo founders in late 2018, early 2019, when I had a chance to visit Korea. At the time, the company was very small, but I was impressed with the founding team capability and their vision. So I think we kept contact with each other. I think Vietnamese students, I think for the past couple of years, the total overseas tuition of Vietnamese students was like $2 to $3 billion, huge money. And I think there are many parents that are willing to spend a good amount of money, right, for the kids to study English, especially if they had a chance to study English with some of the top tutors from Ivy League school, right? So I think the product, we strongly believe that there's a fit for the product in the market like Vietnam. And I think Vietnam is the launch pad for Ringo in Southeast Asia. I think Korean startups have many advantages. The first one is that Vietnamese people love Korean products. They just love it. And I think now when you walk on the street in Ho Chi Minh or in Hanoi, right, you see many Korean restaurants. You see so many Korean beauty products, and everyone trying to dress like Korean. So that's the power of Korean products in Vietnam, and the power of Korean culture in Vietnam. So that's why I strongly believe that definitely Korean startup can really find an angle to enter the Vietnam market and can be successful here. But I think the biggest challenge for a Korean company when entering the Vietnam market is, I think Vietnam is still a quite challenging market when it comes to building the business, right? Because I think you need to be able to build a local team to really understand the local culture and to really be excellent in operations, right? So I think number one is, I think on the high level of the market, right, it's very favorable for Korean company to enter Vietnam. But I think you need to be able to really understand the local competition, because the local product can be very cheap. So I think for a Korean company entering Vietnam, I would say is trying to help the local partner to really keep you up to speed on what's going on in Vietnam, can help you to acquire customers better, or can help you to acquire merchants better, depending on which sector you're in. So that is exactly what we're trying to help the current portfolio companies when we invest in them. We have a unit under the Ministry of Planning and Investment in Vietnam called the National Innovation Center. So what the NIC does is to help foster innovation in Vietnam. They run many centers in the country, and now they have the first center launched in Hanoi, and they normally help to integrate some of the newest innovation into Vietnam, right? So I think if the Korean company have innovation that want to integrate it into the ecosystem, right? So NIC can be the governmental bodies that in charge of innovation and can help the foreign company entering Vietnam. Well, we truly think that during the downturn, we will see disruptive innovations, right? So that is our belief. Because if you think about some of these crises that happened in the past, right? So during the SaaS crisis happened in 2002, 2003, Alibaba actually grew massively because of the lockdown in China, right? And it was a massive success for Alibaba. And I think some of the innovation that we hear nowadays, like cryptocurrency or P2P lending or sharing economy, actually was launching right after the financial crisis of 2009-2010 period, right? I think the resilient founders always found their way to create disruptive innovation. But I think our strategy is to invest consistently throughout a period. And I think this is the chance for us to work very closely with some of the resilient founders that want to create true innovation in the country. So in short, we are worried, obviously, right? Because it's a global, I think for us, we're actually trying to do the opposite, right? So normally you don't want to really invest when everything is inflated in values, right? But when you see that value is going, down, and maybe sometimes you can discover a company that the price is really low, right? The valuation is very low compared to their potential, right? So I think in those times, if we are patient enough, right, we can find very good investment opportunities. So for us, we don't really cut back. Yeah, I think Vietnam and the Southeast Asian markets are very attractive market because we have a young population and rising middle income. So I think Vietnam alone, right, we have 100 million population. And we love Korean products. So I think if any of the Korean companies that want to enter the market, we're happy to be the partner that help you to craft the strategy to enter the market in a very efficient way, and we can help to help you to build a very efficient local team here in Vietnam as well. Yeah, so I think please reach out to us if you have any interest in coming to the Vietnam market, and we can chat more.